All right, Art 1, Chapter 3. We're going to keep going with our notes, or you can ignore this date here, but we are looking at 3-2 is what we're calling this section of notes. And we are now starting, so we just did a little overview in 3-1 of what art history is. And now we're going to talk about specific time periods in art history. So the first is the art of the Middle Ages in Europe. And so that's the 5th through the 15th century, which means the 400s through the 1400s. Now this time in history, this is 1,000 years that we're talking about, so we're being fairly general in what we're talking about here. But this 1,000 years is also called the Age of Faith. The Catholic Church is a very big influence in art during this time. The Muslim faith has influence as well, depending on the area that we're talking about. The church paid for art, and that's why the Catholic Church has such a big influence, because they're the ones who are paying for a lot of this art, and the architecture is important at this stage or this age as well. So in your book we have this picture of this architecture of this cathedral, and this was part of the Middle Ages. Toward the end of the Middle Ages, you can see this is a huge, grand building. It's got, if you were to look closely, all of this ornate stuff that is, so lots of money put into this church building, into this cathedral. You'll also see a lot of things, a lot of artwork that's kind of in the vein of this. This is toward the end of the Middle Ages. This is Byzantine work. You can see, you probably would notice or recognize these like people, paintings of people and drawings where they have these halos and stuff. And this is some scene. This is probably Mary and Jesus. I'm not totally sure. Yeah, Madonna and Child. So Mary and Jesus. Notice how Jesus as a baby still has a grown person face. This is a part of this kind of art, this kind of style. That's how they did it. So, but you might have seen this type of art before. And this is the Middle Ages. It's a wide range of stuff, 1,000 years. But it's important to know that the church is a big influence because they paid for it. Then we look at this next time period, which is the Renaissance in Europe. We're talking about the Renaissance in Europe, and that is the 1400s. You know, we're overlapping a little bit with the Middle Ages, but we're moving into the Renaissance. So this is 1400s are the beginning of the Renaissance. Art really started changing at this time. The church is still a big influence, but we've started getting more realistic with the painting and the drawing and stuff, and perspective became a big deal. So we started looking at art that's not quite so flat as this. So this is late Middle Ages, and you can see how there's some perspective already showing up here. This is not quite as flat as a lot of the other paintings that are in the Middle Ages. You can start seeing that there's some overlapping and there's some perspective here, meaning that it looks more like a 3D painting than just a flat drawing. And so that's something that was really big in the Renaissance. You started seeing some drawings that have more, and paintings that have more perspective. They look like they're more 3D. And that is it for 3-2.